Okay, so this is the second part of responding to Scouty 111's Talk Aloud experiment, sorry. And so if you're planning to do this experiment yourself, please don't watch the following. So I got part of the way through the text. Let's see. Oh yeah, and I was talking about the sleep. Okay, the body temperature begins, and with body temperature, this re-entrainment of the rhythms begins in the first sleep in the new zone. So obviously, body temperature is one of the factors here, which enables us to see the circadian rhythms, the natural bodily rhythms, and obviously then this is something that can be used to put into a graph, etc. So there may be differences in the shift of maxima and minima, leading to distortions of the oscillation. Right. So obviously there's some kind of curve here. I can't remember the technical term for this kind of curve, one of these curves that goes kind of like a wave. Right, and this is not something that's regular, that's something that can be affected. I think going on to the next part, it says, after westward flight the maximum may shift earlier, so this is making more explicit what's just been said. After a westward flight the maximum may shift earlier or further than the minimum, whereas the opposite may be true after eastward flights. Although phase shifting is a consequence... Right, so... Right, so what are these maxima and minima here? It's talking about body temperature still, I'm not sure. Let's continue. After westward flight, the maximum may shift earlier or further than the minimum, whereas the opposite may be true after eastward flights. Although phase shifting is a consequence of the disynchrony between environmental and biological rhythms, the other changes may be more related to the general stress of the flight. Alright, so the phase shifting means the changes in the frequency of these rhythms, what I understand, can be changed by the difference between biological and environmental rhythms. Other changes in these factors might be due to stress, so they could be seen in other circumstances. So what we're trying to isolate here is the disynchrony between the circadian rhythms and the environmental rhythms. So I'll continue. In man, social cues and timing of meals are important to the speed of re-entrainment. Right. So talking about re-entrainment, so maybe we're thinking here about ways in which that we can overcome the effects of jet lag. Indeed, adopting local times for meals accelerates the phase shift. Nevertheless, individuals differ in the ease and speed of their adaptation. Okay, circadian rhythms may synchronize at different speeds, and this is true for psychological as well as physiological functions, although it is not clear how the dissociation arises. Right. So that means the bodily rhythms will catch up with the environmental rhythms, but this will happen at different speeds. And okay, different speeds according to the individual. Although it is not clear how the dissociation arises. Okay, well, presume here the dissociation is between psychological and physiological functions, although that's not made explicit. As far as performance is concerned, it would appear that task complexity is important. and high memory load adapts faster than a simple task. Right, okay, I think that's clear. Using performance as an indicator, resynchronization times for the westward direction vary from between 1.7 and 6.0 days, and for the eastbound direction between 2.9 and 11.3 days. Okay. So in some subjects, eastbound travel may require even longer times for complete readjustment. Okay, I think that's the end of the text. So I've more or less said how I understand that. First paragraph, very tough, and I think if I had a text like this, as I said, what I would have done, like, come across something like that that's very difficult at the beginning, I would have gone ahead and read the whole thing through, and it probably would have made understanding the first paragraph very easy. What I actually did was I stuck rigidly to the rules, and I said, okay, I'm just going to take like every sentence, one sentence at a time. I still think there are things that I haven't made absolutely clear in my mind here, so you know, I would need to go back, but I don't want to make a third video of this, and this one's probably going to cut off any minute, but I'd go back on certain points. I think that's how we understand the text, is that we can read it through one time quickly, and then we can go back. In terms of understanding it, yeah, I think it needs to be seen as a whole. I will take great pleasure in sending philosophical texts that I've had to read for recent studies. It's quite difficult. I think you could have the same kind of experience, but yeah, it was an interesting experience. So I think I'll just stop there, and there's my contribution for what it's worth.